Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Low Season Traveller Insider Guides. I'm your host, Kate Burgess. Today, we are excited to be joined by Jorge Ortiz, a sustainable tourism researcher and drone pilot from Sky Media. Jorge has travelled all around the world to photograph some of the beautiful destinations from up above. In this episode, we talk about the best destinations to travel in the Yucatan Peninsula, about the incredibly rich history and UNESCO World Heritage sites, and of course the delicious cuisines Yucatan has to offer. Jorge also discusses with us what it's like to travel with a disability. Hope you enjoy. Today we would like to welcome Jorge Ortiz to our podcast, who is a sustainability tourism researcher and the co-founder of Sky Media, creating captivating and engaging content taken from the skies with his amazing drone skills. He has had the fortunate experience of capturing beautiful destinations for promotional material whilst there have been no crowds, most notably the complex Mayan ruins of Chichen Itza. Thank you very much for joining us on the podcast today, Jorge, to talk about the Yucatan Peninsula.
It's a pleasure to be here with you, Kate.
Thank you. So first, I just wanted you to give the audience a little bit of a picture about the Yucatan Peninsula, where it's located in Mexico, what are some of the major cities that are there?
Well, Yucatan is located in the southeast of Mexico. We are between Cuba and Florida. And the Yucatan Peninsula is formed by three states: Yucatan, Campeche, and Quintana Roo. Quintana Roo is well known for Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Tulum, all of those cities. In Campeche, you can find the capital city, that is Campeche, is a colonial city. And in Yucatan, you can find the main cities: Mérida, the capital, where I'm from, and Valladolid, another colonial city, quite beautiful. And there are some important ports like Progreso. By the way, Progreso has the longest pier in the world. And, well, the main cities in the peninsula are these.
Yeah, fantastic. Those are some big name cities that I've heard there. Tulum, Cabo. Yeah, they definitely have a reputation. That must be interesting living in an environment like that. So paint us a picture of Yucatan, Jorge. Say you step out of your beautiful home. What do you see, feel, smell?
Well, Yucatan is like a different place from comparing to other places in the world. It's like maybe to go back into the past a bit, because Yucatan has a lot of indigenous population. So whenever you're in Yucatan, the weather, let's start with the weather. It's really, really warm. And the people is warm as well. And most of the people that go to Yucatan feels like home. Even if you're from Australia or any other part of the world, people from Yucatan will make you part of of our family. If you go to my place, my mom is going to be your mom from the time you're there. And you can smell even in the biggest city, that is Mérida, you can smell the nature, you can smell the food. That is another thing that is completely different to the rest of the world and the rest of Mexico. We will talk about that later. And it's like Yucatan is like to be home, basically.
That's a beautiful picture to paint, to be able to travel somewhere and feel so engaged with the community. It's definitely something that low season travelers really look for. They really want that cultural connection to the place that they're visiting, and it's clear that the people are very warm and welcoming to that. So tell us a little bit more about the history and the culture of Yucatan. I know that they have quite a lot of UNESCO World Heritage sites, as well as beautiful rainforests as well, and a lot of Mayan culture.
Yeah, exactly. Yucatan, the peninsula in general, is well known for the Maya culture. We have in Yucatan, we have just two UNESCO heritage places. It's Chichen Itza and Uxmal. I personally, is my favorite archaeological zone. But there are more in the peninsula. There are more places with this distinction. For example, Campeche, the capital of the state of Campeche, is a colonial city. It's as well part of it's a World Heritage site. Mm-hmm. Calakmul is a biosphere reserve. It's as well in Campeche. It's part of the UNESCO heritage sites. The Siancan reserve as well is in Quintana Roo, the other side of the peninsula. Tulum, of course, is the last World Heritage site that we have in the whole peninsula. And Merida, the capital city of Yucatan, I think is on the way to be a new one as well.
Oh, great. So it's in development to become a UNESCO World Heritage Site and applying for it.
As well, in Mexico, we have something called pueblos mágicos, magical towns, could be like the translation. And these places are like really historic places with a lot of traditions and really well preserved. And in Yucatan, we have two. Izamal is called the Yellow Town. Most of the town is yellow. And Valladolid is like a colonial place as well. And was with this distinction, the magical towns. And Merida is going to be, for sure, another magical town, at least the city center, because of we have the first cathedral in the whole America.
In all of the Americas, the first
the
cathedral.
whole continent. Yeah.
Wow.
The cathedral in the continent, in the mainland. The first one I think is in Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic, and the first one in the mainland is in Merida.
Oh wow, that must be really special to go in there. I know Mexico is quite a religious country, and so that must be really amazing to be able to go visit something like that and have that in your hometown.
Yeah. It's like sometimes as locals we forgot about that stuff, but when we receive some visitors, we realize, oh, this is here, and we're proud of that.
So if you were to receive a visitor that were to come to Yucatan, what would be a route that you would take them on? What would be a typical suggested destination for travelers?
Well, it depends on where do you arrive. For example, if we arrive, let's go to the basic route. That if we arrive, for example, into Cancun, that is the biggest airport in the peninsula and the second one in the whole Mexico, we can start in Cancun and go outside the big hotels and the resorts and all of that. Then we can go to Valladolid. It's like 1 hour and a half, 2 hours from Cancun. In Valladolid, you can find beautiful food, a beautiful cathedral as well, a colonial city. There are a lot of cenotes. Cenotes, do you know where is a cenote, Kate?
No, I don't.
Well, a cenote is a cave full of water where you can do scuba diving, and these places were like sacred places for Mayan culture. They did a lot of sacrifices there, and it was like the entrance to the Maya hell. It's called the Xibalba in Maya. It's beautiful places. Are called cenotes. It's like caves full of water, basically. And in Valladolid, in that area, you can find a lot of them. Then you have like half an hour away, Chichen Itza. Chichen Itza, it's a must. Even when it's not my favorite place to go, it's a must in Yucatan. And from Valladolid, from Chichen Itza, sorry, you can go to Izamal. Izamal is in the middle between Merida and Valladolid. In Izamal, you can find the second biggest church not the church, it's like let me just find a word. I don't know how to say that word in English, but I will tell you just now. It's called, well, actually, it's easy, an atrium.
Oh, an atrium, okay.
It's the second biggest atrium in the world.
Wow.
In Izamal is the Yellow Town. Is the yellow town. Of course, the atrium is yellow. The church is yellow. You can spend one night there. There are a lot of hostels or different kind of accommodation for all the people, from rich people to backpackers, for example. From Izamal, you can have Merida 1 hour away. Yep, just like that. Merida have a lot of things to do. It's like the cultural city in the peninsula and one of the cultural cities in Mexico. We have a mix between old Yucatan and the new Yucatan. Is the city center, for example, is like an old town, and the rest of the city is quite new. We have like all the things we can find here in Melbourne, for example. We have theaters, we have a lot of events, concerts, bars, restaurants for all the people. Merida is a good thing that it has that. It doesn't matter the budget you have, you can go there and you can have a wonderful time. There are a lot of free events there. Then from Merida, you can go to the coast. North Merida, there is a Progreso, the closest beach to the city. And I will be honest, it's not as beautiful as Cancun, but it's a really quiet place. You can find really beautiful food. The accommodation is really, really cheap. And if you want to go relax, you have to go there.
I think that's definitely something our listeners want to hear. You know, we really don't want to be in overpacked beaches amongst people, you know, especially in the current climate with the pandemic. We're really looking for those places that are still beautiful and still wonderful, but don't have the crowds associated with them. So that's a really fantastic suggestion. Yeah.
Exactly. From Merida, you can go to Uxmal, 2 hours away. Personally, it's my favorite archaeological zone. And from Uxmal, you can go to Campeche, the capital of the state of Campeche. It's another beautiful city. It's quite small, but it's just beautiful. From Campeche, you can go to Calakmul, another small town in the middle of the forest, archaeological zones. And then you can cross to Quintana Roo and going to the east. The first place you can find is Chetumal, the capital of Quintana Roo. It's a quite small city, but it's good just to spend one night there. Then you can go to Bacalar. It's called the Seven Colors Lagoon. It's just beautiful. And from there, you can go to Mahahual, another beautiful beach, then to Tulum, Playa del Carmen, and you're back into Cancun. It's basically like a circuit you can do in the peninsula of Yucatan. And actually, it's kind of the route that the new train is going to have. The Maya train is a new project that the Mexican government has.
Oh, fantastic.
And it's going to do this route.
Oh, okay. So
most of the people in Mexico...
So they're building a train line all along that route to make it just more accessible.
Yeah, exactly. Most of the people in Mexico is against this project because I think they don't see the potential that this project has. But this project is going to give a lot of potential to the sustainable tourism and the backpackers, and especially in the low season tourists.
Oh, fantastic. So at the moment, with the train not being built, what do you recommend is the best way to go around that route? Is it best to hire a car?
Yeah, it's the best choice. Because if you go in a bus or in a couch, it's a bit more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
You need to follow the schedule, and hire a car is the best thing to do nowadays in Yucatan.
Oh, wonderful. That sounds fantastic. I mean, I have to admit, I have unfortunately never been to Mexico before. It is absolutely something that is on my list to go to. It's very high on my list. Every Mexican I've met has been just absolutely wonderful and so welcoming, as you said. And it seems to have so much beauty. It has beach, it has history, it has UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
And another thing that I didn't tell you is that at least Merida, in the state of Yucatan, is the safest state and the safest city in the whole Mexico. Merida is the safest city in America, in Central and South America, and one of the safest in the world. Honestly, it's completely a different country.
Oh, wow. So different to other places in Mexico?
Yeah, totally. Actually, when I used to live there, I leave my car outside my place with a key inside, and nothing happened.
Wow. I mean,
just like
I personally would bring my car keys inside no matter what, whether it was safe or not. But, you know, that's awesome that you're able to do that. So I know you mentioned before Yucatan seems to have beautiful weather all year round. So is there technically a low season in the Yucatan Peninsula, and what times of the year do you think are best to visit?
Well, in Yucatan we have 2 seasons, hot and too hot. It's like that. Honestly, it's like that. For some people it's like amazing. For other people it's like they hate the weather. Is the only bad thing about Yucatan. But well, in terms of low season, technically the low season in Yucatan is from July till October. And the high season is from November to April. It's according to the schools. For the summer, it depends, because as locals during Christmas, and we don't travel that much. We're not used to go out. We stay at home with our families, but the main people that arrives in low season to Yucatan is American, Canadians, some Germans, um, people from that areas. Basically, they are all people to come to the beaches to spend them winters in Yucatan. The accommodation is quite cheap in the coast. You can have a big house for 3 months for, let's say, $6,000 Australian dollars, or 7,000, something like that. It's quite cheap. So they go there. The high season is related with the vacations for the kids.
Oh, vacations from the US and the US colleges and things like that.
And yeah. And during Easter is the high season for domestic tourism. When I was a kid, during Easter, I used to go to Cancun. I used to go to the beach, not during Christmas like other people used to do. So I would say that the best way to go to Yucatan, it's between May, June, July, and September. The temperature is quite hot, but it's the best time to go to Yucatan and be literally alone in the beach, alone in a town, alone in a restaurant in the middle of the jungle. It's the best time to go.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. I mean, I feel like low season travelers are definitely used to going to a place when it isn't hot. They often avoid those peak summer months, and I feel like there's a misconception about low season travel that it is always going to be maybe in the rainy season or, you know, when it's colder. So it's really interesting that the low season is in that height of summer, and often when a lot of people do travel, especially in the Northern Hemisphere.
But even when we are like almost 100% of occupation in Yucatan, I will talk just about Yucatan because Cancun is a different story. You can go to some beaches and you will be quite alone.
Wow.
I think that most of the tourism companies in that area are just focused or targeting some markets. And if you go to Cancun, for example, during the New Year's Eve, it's going to be crowded and full.
Yeah, that sounds like my
But
West
at the same time, if you go to let's say Progreso on that time, you will have a really relaxed night, quite alone. It's different. In Yucatan, there are a lot of places that are not exploited. Like you can go anytime and it will be almost empty, almost for you.
Wow, so it seems like people that visit the peninsula, is the majority of tourists there that go to those all-inclusive big resorts and they basically don't explore beyond it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why one of the biggest companies in Mexico is called Xcaret. They have a lot of thematic theme parks and all of that. They are against this trend because they think that they will lose this market. But yeah, there are some mainly European tourists go to these places that I'm telling you, to lonely places, to different places, to communities, to different parts of Merida that are not really touristic.
Oh, great. I mean, it sounds like a dream to me so far. So, you know, it would be remiss of me to not ask you about the food in Yucatan. I think there is very much a stereotype of Mexican food that is burritos and tacos, and the closest I have ever had to authentic Mexican food has been Californian Mexican food, which is obviously not authentic. So I was hoping that you could tell us a little bit about the foods that are specific to the Yucatan Peninsula.
Well, maybe that food that you have in California is authentic, but it's quite different to Yucatecan food. As I told you, Yucatan is basically a different country. Actually, we were a country in the 1940 something.
Oh, really?
We were independent country. Yeah, we were in the independent country for 6 years, something like that. But that's another story. Yucatan cuisine is based on traditions and on Mayan culture. And if you go to a traditional kitchen, it's an experience, a different experience in the world. It's like there are a lot of ceremonies, and we cook in a different way. We cook underground. And
you cook underground?
Like an underground barbecue. And by the way, a few days ago, I was watching this Netflix TV show, this Netflix show called Chef's Table Barbecue, and the last episode is about that, and it's just amazing. Normally, I will not suggest this kind of TV shows, but this one is quite authentic. It's they describe a really really authentic experience on a kitchen. And coming back to the main topic, yeah, like you said, Yucatan is not just tacos and burritos. We have, of course, we have in the whole Mexico. We have tacos. We have different kind of tacos. We have stuffed tacos, for example, called panuchos. It's different stuff. We have a mix between European and Maya food. We mix a lot of ingredients. It's a different experience to go to Yucatan. Yeah, kitchen is actually the Yucatecan cuisine is a heritage it's a World Heritage thing.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, it's, and I think it's called intangible heritage.
Intangible heritage.
Something like that. I can't.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, something like that. It's quite good. You can go, for example, in this Netflix show, you can see that the lady that is the chef invite people to, well, in this case, tourists, to go to her kitchen and to eat with the family. So, as I told you, it's like to be home, outside home, and basically Yucatan is food and that.
That sounds absolutely wonderful. I want to know more about cooking underground. I know I've experienced a little bit of that in Fiji before, and it's very slow cooked, covered in, everything's wrapped in foil, meats, potatoes, vegetables, covered with tarps and sort of just sat outside for a long period of time. Is that a similar way that you do it?
Yeah, exactly. The flagship dish in Yucatan is called cochinita pibil. And pibil, cochinita, it means like little pork, little pig.
Oh.
And pibil in Maya means underground. So basically what the Mayan people do is to do a hole in the ground, put a lot of charcoal or wood. Over that, they put a lot of stones and turn it on. When the rocks are really, really red, they put a pot and with the meat and all the spices and all of that, and they wrap it with banana leaf, and they leave the pot, like, it depends, could be from 10 to 14 hours.
Wow. So
basically it's butter. The meat is like super soft, super smoky. It's different. But we don't cook just the cochinita. We cook like a lot of things on the ground. For Day of Dead, for example, we cook some kind of tamale. It's called pip, means underground. It's like cooking the same way, but less time. It's just amazing.
Wow. And being on the peninsula, do you get a lot of seafood as well?
Yep. In the coast, we have a lot of fish, of course, or seafood. In Merida, it's not that popular, but yeah, we cook the fish actually in the same way as cochinita, and we have ceviche, we have lobster, shrimps, octopus. Actually, the Yucatecan octopus is one of the favorite ones for some Spanish chefs, for example.
Oh, okay.
It's a black octopus, and I don't like octopus, but they say that it has like a special flavor, and it's like a treasure for some people.
It sounds magnificent to me. I'm a big fan of octopus, so would definitely want to try that. Absolutely. So Jorge, I wanted you to tell me a little bit more about Sky Media and your experience of your drone piloting and getting photographs of beautiful destinations without the crowds. That must be an amazing experience to have.
Yeah, well, Sky Media, it's my well, I found it with my partner, and we founded it this year in March, beginning of March, and we just provide aerial solutions. We provide aerial footage or aerial photography for real estate, for advertisement, for tourism, for everything. And yep, as you said, to fly during COVID, it has been a different experience.
Yeah, wow.
Normally, we're trying to avoid the people and in order to have a better pictures. And for example, here in Melbourne, I had the chance to fly in some empty spaces, and it's amazing how a city or a monument or any destination looks when it's empty.
Mm.
And well, I've been flying as well in Yucatan. I was the first pilot to fly legally in Chichen Itza. In that situation, they closed the archaeological zone just for me to fly and do a 3D model and take some pictures. I did the same in Uxmal, the other archaeological zone we have in big archaeological zone we have in Yucatan. And as well, I have some flights in the US and Canada, and I did it in low season. For example, I flew the Niagara Falls in low
Oh,
season,
wow.
so it was like amazing
Mm.
because it's almost empty.
Yeah, that must be such an amazing experience. And also the privilege to have Chichen Itza cleared for you, to have absolutely not a single tourist there but you, and being the first legally to fly. That's such an incredible thing to have.
Yeah, it was an honor to do that, and actually I did it for free
Oh, that's fantastic.
because I think it was going to be good for my curriculum. So
Yeah, absolutely. So one other
yeah,
thing I wanted to talk about as well, Jorge, was obviously the listeners can't see you, but you do have a disability, and I wondered if you could share with us a little bit about your experience traveling. I know you're an absolutely avid traveler, and that no way going to let your disability get in the way of you traveling. And if you do have any recommendations of particular countries that you have found a lot more accessible for you as well.
yeah, I'm a wheelchair user, and yeah, I just travel because I like it. The wheelchair doesn't stop me. Actually, the wheelchair give me some benefits. Like, for example, I don't need to do the line when I'm in some specific places. Like in the Vatican, for example, I didn't pay and I didn't do the line. For
Oh,
example,
fantastic.
the Eiffel Tower is the same. Well, but if you ask me for some suggestions to go in terms of accessibility, I will say Austria is quite
Oh,
accessible.
wow.
Aus- Austria is really, really accessible. It's weird because I was thinking that Germany was going to be more accessible, but it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Austria is more accessible. Scotland is really accessible as well.
Oh, fantastic.
In specific, Edinburgh. Edinburgh is quite. I used to live there, and it's quite accessible. Spain as well is really accessible. Even the beaches are accessible in Spain. Melbourne. Melbourne is really, really accessible. Some of the public transportation is not, but for a tourist, it's quite easy to come here and travel. And where else? Where else? Mexico is a bit complicated,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm used to that. So maybe that's why I'm more open to go to the complicated places like Belize, like Costa Rica,
Mm-hmm.
like the Czech Republic is a bit complicated to travel as well. But
Yeah, I can imagine when your hometown is something that you have to navigate and is a struggle, then it seems that no other country can stop you getting there at all. You know, you feel like you've.
yeah, but
Yeah, sorry, go.
yeah, and no. And for example, that's another thing that Mexico and Yucatan in this case has. Even when I'm a local, but I don't look like a local, when I go to a beach and it's complicated to move around with a wheelchair, people just come to you and, hey, do you need some help? And they will pick you up and take you to the sea or wherever. Um, and that's another thing that we should ask when we travel. In my case, in a wheelchair, just ask for help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes, all the time, will be people trying to help you.
That's wonderful that you've experienced such fantastic community all over the world just helping you travel.
Yeah, it is.
Jorge, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today and letting us know all about Yucatan and its wonderful people, culture, and heritage. It sounds like an absolute dream place to visit.
Yeah, it is. And all the time you want to go to Yucatan, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Be careful. I definitely will take you up on that offer.
My home is your home in Yucatan.
Thank you very much, Jorge. Have a wonderful afternoon. It's been great to talk to you.
You too, Kate.
Thank you again to Jorge from Sky Media for joining the podcast today. It was an absolute privilege to learn about the Yucatan Peninsula. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful week, stay healthy and safe. Don't forget to share this podcast with your family, friends, and social networks. Keep your travel dreams alive, and more now than ever, travel is better without the crowds.